then let's start with wireless charging, the definitive step for mobile robot interoperability. So basically, what we spoke about last year, remember, Alfredo, where you said, okay, what would be the challenges? What do we as Wiferion see as challenging for the coming years? And that's exactly what I said, the interoperability and the standardization of maybe the hardware, inside a warehouse, and that's a little bit where I would like to start, maybe talking about our chargers again, to go maybe one step back first, because important to understand is why is wireless one of those options of getting interoperability and making our charger being as a standard inside the market. Well, if we compare our charging solution, if we compare it to other available technologies in the market, like, for example, the cable charger, which is very difficult to automate, as you can understand, and there are also people. Well, I was working in a warehouse once, and I had a forklift, and I personally forgot to charge it. And then the next day, I remember having my boss almost banging me and saying, "Why did you forgot to charge your?"
It happens a lot.
It happens.
But also, with AGVs or EMRs, if they are not properly not programmed, because sometimes you need some kind of manual intervention from the customer, so there is some kind of procedure. Okay, many times during the weekend, people forget, and it happens. Yes.
Yeah, it happens. You're maybe mentally, and okay. I was also maybe 18 years old. You can imagine 18 years old, Saturday afternoon, 6 o'clock.
You were thinking about other things.
Exactly, yeah. So it can happen, So it's very difficult to automate. There are definitely many mistakes happening. Human mistakes can happen. And of course, it's just not very reliable, I would say, if you want to automate something. Battery exchange, let's go to the right-hand side. Battery exchange is just similar. Also, me being once I've visited a warehouse where I've seen a big guy standing, where all these, it looked very similar to the picture you can see, where you could see many batteries just laying there. And then he was standing there waiting for an AGV to come and to swap the batteries manually. So I think having a person there to manually exchange batteries, which can also be done, by the way, nowadays automatically, is still very expensive, because you need to have an additional space, you need to have additional batteries, and that is not very efficient, I must say. And then
I have some projects also with battery exchange manually. Sometimes it makes sense if the person is there because he's working there. But what is the problem? The problem is when, if you have one vehicle, two vehicles, you change once every 8 hours or whatever it is, it's fine. When you have a lot of vehicles, it's a disaster, because you have a person that is fully dedicated to exchange these batteries, and that's where there is a nonsense. Sometimes it works, but let's say that mostly is all the way of working.
Exactly. And imagine, you just said if you have one vehicle, maybe in one on site, could make sense maybe, but imagine you have to share on one side 2 different AGVs. Not both AGVs must always have the same battery, because it depends on the requirements of the vehicle, right? So that's a little bit, if we look again and go back to the interoperability and standardization, a battery exchange will definitely not be a good option to make something standard and for a mix or a heterogeneous number of AGVs on the same site. And then we've got the contact chargers, of course. Contact chargers, very known in the market, it's not very flexible. It is for each AGV also normally, there's no, let's say, one charging option or contact charger for all vehicles. And not only that, you've got the tripping hazard, you've got also the contamination, because it spreads out kind of particles in the air. Also not very good. And then, of course, the maintenance costs, that all these contact chargers need to get replaced, or cleaned once every X amount of time. And that, of course, if you now exponentially increase your fleet throughout globally, imagine you are, I don't know, a big company and you produce thousands of AGVs per year and you distribute that around the globe, you are not allowed to have that maintenance cost all the time. That's just a headache at the end. And that's what we can prevent with our charging. As you know, we do wireless charging, and that goes through air, magically, and there's no contact, no particles, no nothing. So that helps quite a lot also for the standardization. Of course, this flexibility, which we also provide, because we are very safe, our charging pads can be, or charging stations, as you can see in this very nice picture here, can be placed. I always call them the sweet spots. You can really use any kind of moment where you know that anyway the AGV will be standing still. So if you know that the AGV will be standing still for a couple of minutes or seconds, because maybe it's just waiting to get, picking up some boxes or something, take that moment and just get it charged. You can save a lot of money as well. You can reduce the capacity of the battery, so you can save quite a lot of money as well with the battery by not having such huge batteries and working for 8 hours in a row. No, why should you do that? You can have small batteries and just in process charging while you are doing your work, your working cycle. Inside the working cycle, you can get your battery always up to the same level, and nowadays with the batteries available in the market, the lithium batteries, they allow that to do that. They get destroyed or something. It's just feasible nowadays, and you can see it in the market. There are more and more customers now asking for this new battery technology, and also the mentality of not waiting until the battery is at 10% and then going back to a charging station. That's all gone. The people are changing the mindset, and they understand that at the end of this conveyor line, for example, you can place a pad there, and okay, my AGV will be standing there for a couple of minutes until the next truck comes, for example, or the production next batch is just getting spit out, let's say, and just use that momentum. And the good thing of this is that you get also more productivity. We mentioned here 50%, not only because you save a lot of resources, but you also save a lot of time. So your AGVs don't need to go specifically to a different space to get charged. They always are in the same loop, right? They don't go outside the working loop. And best of all is that you can share those charging pads with different AGVs, which makes it, of course, very exciting for the end customers, because they can choose maybe several AGV players, but use the same infrastructure for the charging. And that is the ideal option when we talk about interoperability.
Mm-hmm. And that's because when you say, okay, we talk a lot about interoperability, VDA, 50/50, so everybody's focused on the software.
Exactly.
There are solutions that are working, it's improving step by step, that's clear. But it's true that when we go to the physical stuff, there was a lack of this kind of thing. So this is of course another let's say asset, okay, if we or something that we need to think, because it's true that maybe you can have your software that is managing all the different robots, but then you can have different type of stations, different also I think also for the space availability, it requires different chargers, different spaces to work. So this is okay. That is
you can carry on. I mean, it's fine for me. No, but you just got the spot. Yeah, exactly.
No, look this. Okay, look this. As you said, all charging technology. Imagine that area that you have for 3 kinds of vehicles. You have to multiply that by 3. I mean,
exactly that red area which you see on the left. That's for one vehicle. Now imagine you have in one warehouse you've got like 5 different vehicles. One, maybe it's a tugger. The other one is like a type of pallet mover. Then you've got a forklift. I don't know. You've got 3 different ones. You would have 3 different red spaces, which would be kind of a waste of space. Now we can eliminate that space, by just having the same charger for all three different vehicles and inside the corridors. And as I said, the sweet spots. Sweet, why? It's always nice to have something sweet. Use those sweet spots with those three different types of AGVs, and you can do this in-process charging and then gain a lot of space. You have much more optimization, and it's much easier also for the end customer to reconstruct everything and to make everything more efficient inside their normal working processes. Very relevant as well, of course, the software, and we will go back on that, but just so that everybody understands how it actually looks like, the charger. It's quite simple. It's very flexible. It can work with any kind of batteries. So that's why I mentioned at the beginning. I mean, you've got different vehicles. Not all vehicles have the same battery. It depends on what it needs, right? But imagine you can use any battery with our charger. So that's not there's no restriction with our charger. Doesn't matter which battery you have. Doesn't matter how much capacity the battery needs. For this kind of vehicle, we can charge any battery. And we even provide also our battery, but
Alex, and how do you, I mean, you have several types of vehicles, no? You said it with LED, AGM, gel, lithium, different technologies of lithium also. How does the system know if the vehicle that is there charging needs a charging curve for a gel battery or for a lithium titanium battery? I don't know. So how do you know what is the battery inside the vehicle?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. That's very technical as well. Normally, we go really into those details on a second base, but it's easy to explain. So we have it's not a software. We've got an electronic inside the charger, which is embedded inside the vehicle. You can see it here. Between the battery and the mobile coil, that's the electronic, and that's kind of the brain. The brain is kind of the one which communicates with the battery and understands, okay, this is this kind of battery and needs this kind of power. We always make sure through the communication we use CAN bus, but you can also use any gateway. We can also do it blindly through CCCV phase or modus. But what we do is we check the battery, we understand immediately what the battery can get in terms of current, and we make sure that we don't overgive or exceed that limit. So you have the maximum current which we allow to charge with, and that is kind of dictated by the battery. And we do that through communication. So the brain is definitely the mobile electronic, and the mobile electronic, as soon it knows which kind of battery there is, and it can also, of course, get many other indications like the temperature and other very important standard features from the battery, would then know, okay, how much can I actually absorb or get from the stationary electronic, and then all happens magically very quickly after just 1 second. I mean, I'm talking a lot, right? And at the end, all this happens in just less than 1 second. You can have the full maximum speed, and all this happens. The communication between the electronic and the battery happens so fast.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but one of other of the advantages that we saw in the past was that the energy flow, let's call it this way, the power flow is immediately. Okay, you don't have to wait to the charging contact, like the contact to touch, heat, start. This is immediate. So they are aligned and they start immediately to. But at the end of the day, it's important for AGVs or for mobile robots because you save time and less vehicles maybe. So less time you are charging, better it is for all the systems. So that is the thing.
What I've experienced also quite a lot in the market is that they sometimes they say, with contact chargers, the problematic there is that they cannot allow themselves to charge from scratch with the highest current. They normally have to first get the perfect positioning so that they avoid having any sparks and current peaks. And then they start doing kind of smaller or lower charging currents just to make sure that the contact is there, and then after 10 seconds they can slowly increase the current until they get to the maximum.
It's true that you lose 20 seconds to 30 seconds.
Exactly. And with us, it's just, you just have to approach a little bit. You may have a distance, tolerance distance between 10 and 35 millimeters. Also depends a little bit on the voltage which you have in your vehicle. So with 24 volts you have a little bit more space, tolerance, but with 48 a little bit less. It's just maybe 10 millimeters less. But normally nowadays with all the AGVs or AMRs we work with, it's basically the less problematic. We never have issues with anybody when it comes to the tolerance, because compared to the contact where you really need to have the precision, that's not the case with us. You're quite more flexible. You've got more flexibility in that term. And then you can see on the upper right, you can see already the CW1000. It's tiny, you can't hardly see it, but it's our new charger as well. Here, the biggest difference, which makes it very attractive, is that the mobile side, and that's for very, very small AMRs, which at the beginning, or in the past, they didn't use our charger because it was too big. Now this small little charger, which is also very powerful and effective, is as small as my phone. It's kind of really small. It's very, very interesting because you've got the mobile electronic embedded basically into the coil. So
it's 1 kilowatt.
It's 1 kilowatt, and it's only one component inside the AGV, which is tiny. It's really small, and we've got a lot of interest there because it's so different, and there's nobody in the market who has that, and very interesting as well. Same application, with any kind of batteries, can be used with any battery as well. And we come back here to the interoperability, but why is it so important? We already discussed this. So, we all know, the market of transport is booming. If you just look at the right-hand side, you can see all the thousands of different AGV players there are already in the market. And it's growing. We have also seen from different medias how also the evolution of the market is growing exponentially also for the next 10 years. So I can assume that there will be also new players coming up. But what I want to say is not only the players in the market, which they are also different, and they have also different AGVs doing sometimes very similar jobs, sometimes not so similar. The importance of interoperability is that the end customer, so in a warehouse, they will not only select one of those thousands of AGVs, they will probably use what they specifically need for their processes. And that cannot be done with normally only one AGV. It has to be normally done by several AGVs. One which maybe collects the pallet, the other one which has to elevate the pallet to get it on the shelves. The other one maybe, I don't know, will retractile everything. I don't know. But there are so many different types of AGVs which can be used in the same location or the same warehouse or production site. Now, the problem here is the interoperability. If you don't have interoperability, it makes it so complex and difficult for the end users to select those AGVs in the right way, because it will not be efficient. And not everything, as you said, finishes with the standardization of the software. You mentioned the software of Sinaos, for example. It is, of course, very important to have a common communication between all the AGVs. But at the end, and we spoke about the space management, if each AGV has their own space to get charged with their own charger, makes it, again, not very efficient. We can provide that hardware, the standard hardware, to make this interoperability successful. And that's what we provide, And I can show you now as well how we provide that, Again, you can just see that for any kind of robots, we can use our chargers, We can show this at our Logimat, This is only a month away from now, And you can see that we will have a huge booth. It's 10 times bigger than last year. We will have
10 times bigger.
Of course, but this time as well, we are sharing it with Sinaus.
Okay. With Sinaus in Continental. Oh, nice.
Yes. Exactly, yeah. So Sinaus, as we already mentioned, they do all this so the software work, to enable all the robots work in the same space, without crashing. And what we do basically is provide the hardware, which is in this case the charging method for all the different AGVs, which will be running around in this small or big space. Depends how you want to look at it, but you can have a look at it at our booth stand. It's in stand 8B29. I will be there as well. You can have a chat with me.
I will send to the participant the contacts, okay, for if someone is going to the Logimat. I guess many people of this webinar will be there. So they can contact you directly or the company. So they see this. So there will be some mobile robot moving with your wireless charging finally in Logimat.
Exactly. Finally, we are so excited because it's a different approach. It's a different mindset again.
It's nice. It's nice to see that you are collaborating with other companies.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, the customer needs a solution, and
exactly.
The solution only comes with several companies, clever companies working together. This is the only way.
Exactly, and that's something which I've also kind of noticed in the last year or two, where it's not only price driven or cost driven of a particular, let's say, component anymore. When normally I don't talk about price anymore. It's more about communicating with the end customer, understanding what they need, and then make it happen somehow. And it can only happen if there is a combination of different resources working correctly with each other. And having these partners in the same booth and allowing that to happen, that is something which we want to show and which we can and which we are already doing for some end customers. It's quite exciting for us. Here you can see. Yeah.
So you will have these vehicles running in your booth?
Yeah, exactly. So we've got KUKA, Omron, Sherpa, SafeLock. Omron as one of our newest, let's say, partners. Exactly, and we can do it with many other companies, but not all can fit in our booth, of course.
20 times bigger next year.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's really interesting to see and to have a kind of feeling of how it can work all together, and and that's something which we have seen a couple of years ago, that it might be something challenging. But we see already the light at the end of the tunnel. We have the solution, and it's now just a matter of
Very interesting.
And how do we do this? Yeah, so many people ask me, it's very easy. It's you talk, and it all seems so so wonderful and easy. Of course, it's not so easy. We have a wider range. So we've got, as I said, very, very well known, the Interlink 3000, which provides the 3 kilowatt. Then we've got the 1 kilowatt charger, the small one with only the one component installed inside the AGV. We can connect them in parallel. So we've got 6 kilowatt, we've got all the batteries, we've got different batteries. So we can work with any battery, as I said. But most importantly is the consulting as well, and the field service which we provide, because we understand that not all AGVs have to be handled in the same way. Not all AGVs need the same power resource or management, and that's why this consulting is extremely important at the beginning as well. And this is something which we are also going to provide every time we talk to somebody, even if it doesn't work with our charging method. We would then give always our honest opinion and say that it would not work with us if it doesn't work. But we are in many different industries and applications already, and it's thanks to all this consulting which we have given. Like in the production, we've got CPM from Italy, for example, the picking with Micalux, Locus, warehouse technologies exists as well, supply chain, goods to person, now with our smaller charger, very, very ideal. So there are so many industries and applications, and each application, an end customer will need a different kind of procedure, inside their warehouse or infrastructure, and our charger and battery and the solution which we provide it really fits to so many different payloads. I've indicated this. I've managed to make this a little bit easier and visible in one slide, where you can see that we can provide a power management tool from AMRs going from payloads under even 200 kilos up to 500 kilos. It's just an idea, of what range we work with. Okay, it's not strictly now until 5,000 kilos, but it's somewhere a big range where we can offer our right product.
Basically, you cover all the intralogistics needs. I mean, from the very small to big vehicles. That's fine.
Exactly. And then we do for each of these different AGVs and applications, we of course always try to investigate and talk to the customer. Also, we even get information from the end customer to understand what their best or ideal, let's say, charging procedure should look like. Yeah. So there are huge differences between. I've done it also on a kind of very simple graph where you can see that there are so many different ways of charging an AGV, and there's not only one right way or one wrong way.
It depends on the project, on the process. I mean,
exactly. And you just need to understand how the process works, and then you have to adapt it to, and you have to get and source the right battery, and then also be able to charge it in the right way. Yeah? It doesn't mean that you always need a big battery and therefore a huge charger. No, you can also have a huge battery and a smaller charger, like in the upper left picture, or you can have a tiny little battery. Yeah, the typical in-process charging where it will be standing still for every 20 seconds. Or for every 5 minutes, it will stand still for 1 minute. Then you need a very small battery and also probably also a small charger. Yeah, so it depends on how you work. Yeah, these are like the two complete different ends. Normally, what I've experienced is that mainly we are in the new, let's say, modern world. We are looking in something more flexible. In the under left version, this one here, I don't know where you see my mouse.
Yes.
That is somewhere where we are normally looking at when we do some simulations as well with the end customers, but normally with the OEMs. We always say to the OEMs, to the manufacturers of the AGVs, that we don't need to always go too much into the details, because the reality will never look the same way as
not too much. But if you start thinking about it, you have the understanding of the system. It's true that there could be things that are changing. That's clear. Yeah. But not even put in your head the question is already a mistake. So at least understand how it should work. Then if there are some variation, okay, but the variations will not be completely different as what you thought from the beginning. Okay, so it's good to make this analysis anyway.
Yeah. So and that's what we provide. Yeah, and of course all this very important as well for many of our end customers is to get this availability of the AGV as high as possible. Yeah, so we provide also calculations to make sure to minimize the number of AGVs doing the same work by just increasing the availability, and we can do that. Yeah, we increase the availability of the AGVs. We always try to be in a very high range, looking somewhere normally over 70%. That's okay-ish, but there are really now some of our customers, they are even looking at a higher availability rate, because at the end it makes sense to have less robots because it's less investment for the end customer. But you also want to save resources. Yeah, why should you work with 10 robots if you can save 2 and work in the same way just with 8? Yeah, you want the robot to be running and to be working, and not all the time being standing in somewhere in the corner, at a charging station without doing anything. It's a waste of time and space, and that's what we provide. We kind of through this in-process charging and increasing this availability through our charging method, we can really save a lot of resources, and that's of course ideal also for the end customer, because it results to a lower investment cost for them. Yeah, this is just some examples which I'm going to show you now. Not going through them, yeah, but we've done several simulations also with end customers, as you can see here. You can see how we look into the charging the current consumption. Normally, we use an average consumption rate, and then we check for how long you need to charge in order to get this kind of 24/7 vehicle, or how you can manage to do this in-process charging. How many charging stations you need, for example, in a production site, yeah, to make it easy. And we conclude that, yeah, with. And this is, I think, then also the end of my pitch, I would say. But this is something which we use. Yeah? We use also our Wiferion battery calculator. I call it simulation, yeah, which you can find in our on our website. If you put Wiferion.com calculator, you can then just manually insert
on the web. There is an URL with this calculator.
Yeah, and you can play around with it.
We can provide it. I will put it in the email.
Exactly, and this helps a lot. Yeah, you can get an idea, a rough idea of how many batteries you need. What would be good to have as a capacity, for example. You could calculate with how much power you would need to charge to get the ideal, let's say, product fit for your vehicle.
Okay, very interesting. I mean, it's a really nice topic, the interoperability from a different point of view. That's fine. Just give a point about so you will be in the Logimat that you just explained us. Will you also, because there are many people also typically in this webinar from the States, will you be also in the ProMat?
Me personally, I will not be there, but Wiferion and our...
Okay, so in any case, we will have a booth there with someone from Wiferion.
Exactly, yeah. We will be there present, and of course, it's going to be also a big one. And we will provide a lot of information there as well, yeah. Okay. I personally will be at the Logimat, and we will be seeing each other as well at the Intralogistics, for example. Okay. I'm more around Europe, but we will, of course, now through PULS, we are now a very big group, and we've got several sales hubs around the globe. So one is in Chicago in America. We've got one in Japan as well, in China. And we go to all the global biggest, let's say, events.
It's important, Alexander, also because, I mean, you are supporting worldwide activities because there are suppliers also that are working in different regions, okay, in the States, in Asia, in Europe. So you are not now a tiny company just in Germany. I mean, you are a part of a big group and you are supporting international customers. So that's a important thing, nothing to say, okay? Because
it is. Yeah, it's many times that they ask me that question, like, okay, what happens if I implement my AGV at my end customer in America? Would you be able to provide service? Yes, we can. We are now capable of doing that. We're not a startup anymore. We are part of a very big company, and that helps a lot. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. I think the time is over. It's just very fast. I think we could be speaking here for hours, but I guess you have something better to do.
It's always a pleasure being with you, by the way.
Speaking with me. So thank you very much for your availability. Thank you to the Wiferion team for this excellent presentation.